Hello, Figmates from across the globe. What a joy to meet you today, and thanks to my amazing config team for having me here. My name is Jandra. I am a certified matchaholic and coffeeholic. So if you are also a matcha and coffee lover, you are my kind of people. By the way, I lead and oversee the development of module content and learning materials of multimedia arts and communication arts program at STI. I also teach, and at the same time, I keep on exploring how to make the students' learning experience awesome. So that's together with my team. I also love exploring different tools like Figma to add to students and teachers' learning experience. In 2020, we went virtual. To be honest, it was so challenging on our part because, we already planned the classroom activities and we already planned for student development activities. And then all of a sudden, lockdown happened. The question then was, how can we give the best learning experience to our students as if they were inside the classroom, even if we are on virtual? How can we transition all of these classroom activities and physical collaborative activities to virtual? Especially, we are teaching multimedia arts and communication arts students. And these types of students, they learn best in the physical classroom setup. So we have to innovate our lessons and materials. Speaking of innovation, I had to do some research, attend some webinars, trainings, and workshops, and even get the counsel of some experts so that I can create the best learning experience for my students. While I am developing the content of the lessons and applying everything that I learned, I discovered and came up with this See Me framework. This framework was in response to virtual learning and as an encouragement and as an engagement approach that also meets learning outcomes. Now, let me share this with you one by one. First is cooperative creation. We create activities that would make our students produce visual outputs or project-based outputs that would allow them to co-create with their classmate and even with us, teachers. Let's take a look at some examples of our amazing students in the 3rd and 4th year college level. I got their permission to share this. So, number 1, this is an output group presentation done by one of our groups in my interactive media design class. The instruction was to create their problem maps, their knowledge board, their user persona, and their methods of research. This is for their user research activity. Their objective was to do a user research before they begin to design their product, like a mobile app. I don't want to limit their creativity, so it's up to them on how they will execute it and where they will put their project as long as they follow my initial instructions. And they will create a presentation of their output as their requirement. So what happened was that they created all their deliverables, like their maps, their boards, even the written outputs in Figma. And they made it an entire presentation. It was convenient for them because they just need to use one tool to create all of these outputs. And speaking of written outputs, while looking at this activity, I realized that we could level up the typical pen and paper activity into something visual. You will not only think of the answers for that pen and paper activity, but place them into a visual output where you can also creatively design what will be its layout or theme, depending, of course, on the topic, which makes it more interesting. Next, this is cool. From the same subject, interactive media design, a group of 7 students created a problem-solving game. They were given 1 week to create a digital learning material for their chosen subject. And they choose science. They will be the ones who will create the content. So lo and behold, they came up with this gamified project. The content of the interactive game contains not only science, but forensic science. This contains forensic and scientific analysis that will challenge the critical thinking and problem-solving skills of whoever will play the game. Now, if you are a student who wants to make your project unique, or even if you are a teacher who wants to level up your physical and virtual class experience, you can gamify. You can create a game like this to your subject. Figma was a big help on this, actually. My realization here was that we are creative in our own unique ways. Especially, it's better when we do it together. But sometimes, we are the only ones who limits it. So let's not limit our creativity. Then another group created an infographic. The objective then was to produce an interactive web content. To meet their learning objective and to apply what they learned, they created this interactive infographic about Filipino food that no longer exists. Some sort of like kind of throwback. And also different Filipino superstitions. So the research skills was also challenged and enhanced because of this output, because they need to find what Filipino foods that are not existing, what are the Filipino superstitions that are famous, and they could include something like that. Last example. This is a gospel card that was created or that was used in a Sunday school for teenagers, about 13 to 16 years old. The person I am mentoring asked me for an advice on how can she make her learning or her gospel discussion interactive, interesting, and easy to understand. That's the goal. So I advised her, why not make an interactive flashcard for it? She liked the idea, and I taught her how to use Figma. Good thing this is a user-friendly tool. And eventually, she was able to create a Pantone-inspired prototype for an interactive flashcard. And after she used this in her Sunday school class, she told me that her students kept on asking her to click each color again and again. Whenever she's asking questions, the students are responding well because the lesson was remembered easily. So there was retention. Now, with all of these examples, we learned that when students produce visual outputs, it makes the learning experience dynamic, fun, and it makes processing what they've learned more interesting. We empower students to produce something that allows them to exercise their creative and critical thinking skills, which are the skills that the real world, especially the work environment, requires. Since I mentioned earlier about co-creating with fellow learners and teachers, therefore, let's make social learning activities a habit. Let's create tasks that would give opportunity to our students to do ideation and brainstorming sessions. Because when we do this, we give them an opportunity as well to exercise their collaboration skills and even their relational skills. Let's look at a few more examples of collaborative learning right here with Figma. This is the collaborative learning activity of my third year communication arts class. This is for a digital learning materials development subject. We had an empathy mapping session so that they will experience how it is facilitated because this is included in their lesson. Our empathy mapping session is about their online class experience in their program. This is to deeply understand the learner's behavior and the feedbacks like what we see here in the Figma file. I came up with this activity to enhance their virtual class experience too. This was actually the first time that we did this in class, and most of them responded that this activity is fun, that it's cute, they were able to express their thoughts, and they understood each other. They understand where each other is coming from, and they learned from each other's experience. Oh, here's another collaborative activity with FigJam with my third year multimedia arts class. At the end of the discussion, we are processing and sharing what we've learned from a certain topic. This is what we call what I learned activity. We are having our sharing time about the certain topic that we just finished. I myself also included. What we did was put all of these lessons that we learned about the topic that we just finished, which is about presentation design and creating a newsletter, in those sticky notes and stickers. It seems that they enjoyed a lot. After I left our online class, they still stayed and played with FigJam. And then the next day, I saw what they did to our file. Just look at the heart drawing right here. So yes, they really enjoyed a lot. You know, elevating our collaborative learning sessions, especially using a collaborative or collaboration tool like Figma or FigJam, whether in classroom, in meetings, or brainstorming sessions, would boost group engagement, which can also make learning process fun and most especially boost communication in a group because everyone can visualize what their ideas are so that everyone in the group can connect and provide feedback effectively because they get to understand each other. Understand each other better, I must say. Lastly, checking the students' activities will not be complete without doing the E.A.R feedback. So what's the E.A.R feedback? Let's learn more. E stands for encourage. You know what? When we ask students or another person to do an activity or to accomplish a task, it requires feedback, right? Well, we can point out what needs to be improved and the opportunities that we need to work on. We can also be their CEOs, which stands for Chief Encouragement Officer. Like, for example, simply telling them that, oh, your work looks awesome. You've done a great job today. Very good on passing on time. It would really mean a lot to them already. The more they are encouraged and recognized, then the more they will be excited to work on their task. The more they are eager to learn because there is someone like you and me who believes in them. Then A means affirm. We need to affirm of what the person did good so that they know that they are recognized. You are recognizing their strengths. You are recognizing what they can do. And even recognizing their opportunities, but at the same time, advising them how they can work on it. Folks, let's try to see the good in the person. Finally, letter R, remind. Aside from reminding our class to submit the requirements on time, we need to affirm them, or rather, we need to remind them why they do what they do and how valuable they are as an individual. We can also remind them of the consequences of actions so that they can be aware and be careful. At least we are also guiding them, right? Now, why is E.A.R feedback included in creating a better learning experience? Because no matter how good, challenging, how fun the activities are, or no matter what hybrid digital learning tools you use, if your student feedback lacks encouragement, affirmation, reminding, then your students would only do their task for the sake of doing it and getting it done because they need to pass. Folks, learning should be holistic and transformational. We do not only teach technical skills, but we also include core skills. We do not only give them the knowledge and skills that they need to acquire, but also teach them the right character for it. Yes, can be easier said than done, but when we get to practice these in our school and even in our community, this could go a long way. You see, practicing CME or the CME framework is a process. I know this will take time, but if you just kept on practicing and you kept on using this, then we can make a different kind of classroom and learning experience that would help transform the students' hearts, mind, and character. Here are some responses from my students after I applied the CME framework. You know, someone says, it feels like home. So again, to help us create a better learning experience, what must we do? Just see me. Thank you everyone for listening, and I appreciate all of you for taking your time to be with us today. I would love to connect with all of you, so please feel free to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.